you have to have a good first 25.
Yeah.
And you have to hit that turn. You have to be fast around. Like if you watch Caleb, if you watch Jordan, their turn, they're the fastest to do just the flip, not even talking about the push off.
Welcome to Social Kick. We got the full crew, Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and join us with a fresh, crisp beard, Josh Liendo. What's going on, man? Looking sharp.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Everyone's talking about the beard. I just grew it out. I'm gonna keep it, see how long I can keep it.
That's one of the great things about having a beard. As a guy who used to grow out a beard during the season myself, people love to talk about the beard. It like takes on an identity of itself. It's almost as if the beard is a bigger deal than you are.
Yeah, I guess so. It seems like it.
Fear the beard, man. What was that Giants game? Giants way back in 2010, 11?
Yeah, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, fear the beard.
That's right. Yeah, although that guy used a lot of just for men in the beard, I think, to like extra dye. I think yours is naturally dark without all the grays. So one day maybe you'll get the grays in the beard. Like,
I don't know. With the chlorine, I might start getting some. You never know.
Yeah, be clear.
Yeah.
I figure swimmers grow beard as like a code. It's just like, guys, I'm really hurting. I'm out of shape. Am I out of shape? I'm working really hard. I'm not ready to race. It's like code for like, that's why I went slow.
You get an excuse. It's like, it was the beard, man.
Something looks really funny though when you're in a racing cap, racing goggles, tech suit, and a beard. I don't know about you, but like it almost feels off too. Like something's not right. You can go fast, but you've got this like, I don't know.
Now that it's a little bit.
That's me from the heyday.
That's you? Dude, you're jacked.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
We're jacked.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's the ego boost I needed today.
It does feel a little different. Like now that it's a little bit longer, I can actually feel it. Like, when you take your cap off, you feel like the water. I can actually feel it like catching water now. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you have to spend the extra time when you get out of the pool because I don't know about you, but like if you're not used to rocking the beard or having it be that long, you dry off, and then next thing you know, you're like eating dinner after afternoon practice or something. You're still like dripping down in the beard. Like, man, I got to take the extra time to.
Got to get in there.
Well, dude, we always ask our audience questions for our guests at Social Kick Swim on Instagram and YouTube. I had a bunch of people asking questions for you. Let's start with this one's from Osinstra. Sorry, I didn't get that right. Favorite cuisine type? What do you like to eat?
I don't know. Anything. I'm not really picky. Cuisine type.
Looks on pins and needles over there, man. I'm not gonna lie. Looks like
my mom's cooking. I don't know.
That's never a bad answer. All right, this one's from Samo Allen wants to know about the best upcoming Canadian freestylers. What are we gonna do to get that freestyle relay on the podium?
We got some good ones. We got a couple kids at Florida who are pretty good. You got one of the guys that's in my year, Edward. He's pretty good. He's got some talent. We have this kid, I think he's 18 now, Paul. He's a freshman who just came in, Paul Dardis, and he's pretty good. He's actually a really good trainer. So I'm excited to see how he does with the training and kind of just like how he develops. Obviously, he's pretty young. I feel like we've got some good momentum. We've got some good younger guys. I feel like it's only a matter of time, right? I feel like it's kind of shifting. Now I'm getting into the older guys, even though I was one of the younger ones on the relay, and then there's some young guys coming up. But I feel like there's definitely some room to be faster on relays for Canada. I think we have some talent that's coming up.
Well, I have to admit, Luke is equal parts extremely excited to talk to someone who is originally from Trinidad, being from Trinidad himself, but also a little bit butthurt that, you defected and now you can't represent Trinidad relays because those relays aren't making any podiums anytime soon. Am I right, Luke?
Well, I always tease my Canadian swimmers that if it wasn't for Trinidad, Canadian sprinting would be garbage. It'll be garbage. So the Canadian record holder, NCAA, the fastest Trinidadian sprinter of all time and Canadian sprinter of all time, George Bovell, 21-2. He was born in Canada. Mark Andrews,
That's
Canadian
true.
record holder, NCAA champion in the 80s. He's from for Canada. He had a record
I
for
did not know that.
15 years.
Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mark Andrews, 22-8 in the 80s. And then, of course, me and my brother, but, you know, you guys know,
Yeah.
you know all about that. Not you, Josh. I mean, you learn to swim. You learn to swim in Trinidad. And then when you, by the way, this for the audience who's watching, Josh, confirm this is you. Confirm that that's you, dude.
Which one? We're looking.
That's
at
me, right in the blue. In the blue, that's me.
The blue, nice.
Yeah.
What are you holding up? Records?
No, so what this is, I was told it was like a graduation. I remember in my swimming career, this is apparently when you guys were accepted to be competitive swimmers.
Yeah.
When you moved on from learning to swim competitive, and you were 9 years old. And talk about your journey. So you learned to swim at 9. That's when you started to be in the competitive swimming, right? Talk about that journey from for those who like, wow, I'm 9, I'm still not a world beater. I'm like, chill. Where you?
Well, see, I was in pre-competitive before. You know the kind of the pre-competitive kind of swimming in Trinidad, and then I think my parents told me like the other parents were like getting pissed because I was like beating all the pre-competitive kids, and they're like, this guy's like, just put him in competitive, like he's beating all the competitive kids, or the pre-competitive. So I started considering it, and then I switched to competitive swimming. And it was a big shift. Like, it was like, I was like winning, and then I started getting beat, and then I had to kind of learn how to get beat, I guess. And then I just kind of took it from there. But yeah, no, there was a lot of fast swimmers back then. I always I never went to Carifta because I like left too young. Yeah. So that's a meet that I wish that I went to. But yeah, I mean, that's where I kind of started out.
Well,
Luke's been in post-competitive for way too long.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I always tease the Tennessee boys. The Tennessee relay now is basically a Carifta relay with Lamar, Joe, and Nikolai. And then Guy is, we can give a passport for the Carifta.
Yeah.
He's Brazilian. But then you went on to Canada. Oh, by the way, my Trinidadian family also say, swimming fraternity say, I can't claim you as a Trinidadian because your parents are not Trini, right? Is your mom, where are your parents from?
My mom's from St. Vincent.
Right.
And then my dad's from Venezuela. So
Venezuela, that's right.
Yeah. But I do have some family that's Trinidadian. I think my older sister, she was born in Trinidad. But yeah.
So
just say no ties. Don't give Luke any hope that he's going to swim there. Just cut him off.
Let's squash it right now.
He realized that he learned to swim in Trinidad and he did really, really well in Canada. And he's like, crap, I want to take it to the next level. I'm going to swim for a Trinidadian coach. So he went down to Florida. He swam for Nesty. Who's from? Where's Nesty born? Yeah.
Where was he? He was born in Trinidad, was he?
He was born in Trinidad.
I did not know that. Yeah. Oh, I know. I did know that. Yes, I did. I just forgot.
Anthony Nesty, when in 1988 he came to Trinidad with his gold medal, and he inspired me to I could be from Trinidad and I can perhaps do great at swimming. And he was definitely my mentor, my role model when I was growing up. What about you? I mean, did you have anybody you looked up to, not necessarily in swimming, but in any sport that you were like, dang, that's something I want to be at? And where we go?
I remember, I feel like my parents watched a lot of basketball. So I liked, one of my favorite basketball players was Allen Iverson.
Yep.
I mean, Kobe. Yeah, I feel like I was pretty big on basketball. I watched a little bit of soccer too. I feel like I had just outside of the sport, because obviously I was a swimmer, but I wasn't taking swimming that seriously at that young age yet. So I started realizing that this could be a career for me. But yeah, I would say kind of like Allen Iverson, those guys.
How good were you at that AI crossover?
Man, I was all right.
Dude, I didn't try that though. Every kid who watched Allen Iverson growing up was trying to replicate that crossover in the driveway or on the basketball court.
And trying to dribble with the football.
Yeah.
You seen that video? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really hard. Yeah.
Were you a Raptors fan?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, I only became a Raptors fan when I went to Canada. I wasn't always Raptors. I think my mom. So my dad always liked the Knicks, and I think my mom liked the Celtics.
Okay.
She liked like Kevin Garnett. I think she liked Rajon Rondo. That kind of.
So you would have gotten to Canada kind of around peak Vince Carter?
I think, before was he still on Toronto? I'm trying to remember.
Remember the dunk contest where he like stuck his arm in the did the forearm hang thing? That's crazy. I don't remember what year that was. Shout us out in the comments if you remember. But
Brian, I'm really impressed with your basketball knowledge, by the way.
For how much the thing is, like, I remember basketball in like the 90s into early 2000s, basically like until I got through college. And then after that, I stopped paying attention to basketball whatsoever. And now I don't follow basketball at all, despite the Auburn Tigers being great at basketball right now.
I know. I was texting Brian about the Auburn Purdue game, and he's like, don't care. And then they whooped us by like 30. I was like, oh.
I mean, the SEC is pretty good at basketball right now.
I saw an article headline the other day that said like SEC was the best, the best league in basketball, and it's just like, man, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Better at basketball than football
right now, sure.
Of course. I think
I'm okay watching the Georgia Bulldogs get stomped by Notre Dame. That was pretty great. That's
something about that in Alabama.
Common, Josh. Yeah.
I mean, because they got ETN from us, right? So.
Yeah.
Josh, did you have any?
Sorry, real quick, Luke. I don't understand the transfer to this is what's so different about college sports to me today. Is like somebody who transfers from a top program rival to another one. Playing football at Florida and then playing football at Georgia makes no sense to me. I know it's all about money now.
Money and opportunity, right?
That's a totally different era. It's just a weird thing to think about. And it can happen more in swimming now. You've seen a few people do that even, recently. But
I mean, that's what they're saying about Milroe from Alabama is going pro because he probably wasn't going to be the starter anymore. So he's going from a multi-million-dollar starting job at Alabama to having to transfer or go somewhere else. So might as well go pro. That's a rumor.
Yeah, let's follow this like Quinn Ewers thing. It's like, where does Quinn Ewers go? Because
he's got a $6 million offer. They're saying.
Yeah, totally. But all of the programs are like, does he go to Ohio State and follow up on Will Howard? It's like, does he go to Bama, stay within the conference, and follow up on Milroe? It's just like it's hard to imagine though somebody going to like another top tier program that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Were you tempted at all to swim college in Toronto? A lot of the top Canadian male swimmers, Finley didn't go college, Brent stayed in college. Were you tempted to stay in Toronto at all, or was not even a consideration during COVID?
No, once my coach Ben Titley, once he was gone, I was like, I knew I didn't want to stay in Toronto after that point. I kind of wanted to see, whether or not I would follow him or what. But I mean, it just worked out so well with getting school paid for and obviously being at a really good program at the same time, a stable program. Yeah. And it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I do wish, I've told Finley this so many times. I was like, dude, if you had gone NCAA, I mean, he's so good, like short course. He's so good. Whenever I'd race him short course, like he would beat me on like fly sets. Like, I was like, dude, you should have. I always tell him I wished he came to swim NCAA because he's like he can swim anything, especially when you get to short course. He can literally swim any event. But yeah.
Right. What about Florida that attracted you? Was it the coach? Was it just the environment? Was it just the offer to school? It felt good. I mean, Brian didn't choose Florida.
I didn't have Dressel there.
Yeah, I mean, having Dressel as a training partner definitely helped it. They had a good spring group, some good guys.
Yeah.
Obviously Nesty, good coach. He was also a swimmer at one point, so he understands it pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say it wasn't the only school I was looking at, but it was like at that time, I think it was. I wasn't planning on going NCAA. I was looking to go pro, and I think when everything happened with like the center and Ben not being there, I think it was was right before trials. Maybe it was around March. And I think that's when Nesty reached out to me. And then that's when I started considering college as a route. So it was pretty late. I never really looked too much into it before. I was just kind of thinking that I would, stay at the high performance center, basically like be a pro until kind of that point. So that's where the shift happened. And then at that point, there wasn't like much time to, like, I didn't take any trips. I was just kind of making that decision off the information that I was provided. So, yeah.
When we swam, we would go down to the States and we would swim yards against some college teams in the States when I swam McGill. And it was a huge adjustment for me to race yards. And I remember watching you do your transition down to swim yards and race yards. And I was thinking like, oh, I wonder how Josh is adjusting to sprinting a 50-yard. What's that like? How fast that wall comes to you and how fast that touch. And did you find that a big adjustment? And what helped you be successful to now be an 18-0 50-yard freestyler? Did you see a big shift from short course meters to yards?
Yes, 100%. I would say I'm more like short course meters swimmer. It's just, I feel like it's more natural. If you watch like my early races in like 53, like I think my first race 53, our first dual meet, I almost hit my head.
I remember.
Like, I almost hit my head on the turn. Yeah, and even SCCs was my first time. I was like tapered in a suit, missed the turn. Yeah, it was a lot because when you're moving at that speed, and obviously it's just like from the tee to the wall. It's when you're moving at that speed, it's like a completely different event. Like it feels so different. It's so detail oriented. It's like the details are much more important than I would say even like effort or anything like that. Like it's very detail oriented, and I just had to learn how to be able to hit all those details. Cause I mean, it's really a lot. Like people don't understand it. They're just thinking, oh, you're just going fast, but there's so much that goes into, getting everything right and being able to go fast. But yeah, if you look at me freshman year doing the 53, it's like, I mean, I don't know what I was doing. Even the 100 fly, I could not swim. I was bad at 100 fly short course. Even short course meters, I couldn't do it. I was like more of a long course swimmer. I was like 50 point flat in the 100 fly before I committed to school. And the first bit, I think my first meet, I was like a 48 in the 100 fly. Wow. I just had to like learn how to get it down. But yeah, I mean, once I learned it, I mean, I still miss my turn and my finish every now and then in yards. Yeah. But I think that's just like my stroke. I have a pretty long stroke. So it's just like, I just need to get that timing better. But yeah, I mean, it took a lot of learning for yards for sure. People don't like kind of realize how detail oriented and how on it you have to be fast.
So as a unbiased Canadian, should we have short course meters in college swimming or have it every 4 years like it used to be way back when?
I mean, I'm biased because like, yeah, I would definitely want, I feel like I'm better, at least, yeah, I think I'm better short course meter. So I would like to just see where I'm at short course meter in a tapered meet.
Yeah, maybe have some world records at NCAAs just to like show how fast that system is and how competitive it is.
I mean, you saw it at World Short Course, like the 100 free, those guys, the podium, all NCAA, 50 free, like NCAA guys at the top of that podium, even the 2 free. So,
yeah, it's a weird thing. We were talking about Jordan going 19.9 and having grown up in the yard system. John and I, our whole perspective is based on yards times versus short course meters, and I kind of feel like deprived of that. You know, like not relating to everyone else, like you and Luke, who grew up with short meters, and then having that be like, oh my god, like I don't know what 18.0 speed feels like, so of course the wall comes up at you fast. But like to put that in the context of, 19.9 or 20 point low, like, that's, it just has less of a, I don't relate to it as much, and I think they're missing something like that. But, the problem in the U.S. is just the pools. There's just so many pools that are built short course yards. So, but.
Do you know what they do in Canada now too? Is that they at nationals they swim short meters in the morning and long course at night.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen it.
I don't like this.
Yeah, I feel like that's like that'd be hard, right? It's like it's a completely different event. Like it's like
let's say Crooks and that 200 free long course.
Oh my god! Yeah, totally different.
200. It's just a whole different.
It's just a different event. Yeah, it's you can sprint it. You can almost sprint the 200. I feel like yards compared to long course. It's like it's a little different, way more strategic. A lot more goes into it.
But it's. Even at my Canadian Nationals, a world record was set at our Canadian Nationals once in the 50 backstroke, and to see a world record done at your university championships is fantastic. And Josh, when are you going to get an opportunity to break a short course world record? You never rested for World Cups. You're not going to go. World shorts are bad timing. So I mean, that opportunity to be able to have that chance to go a 19.89. You know what I mean? And things like that doesn't come very often for you, your peak condition, right? And for many other swimmers like you, right?
Yeah, I feel like it also kind of sucks that like I feel like the NCAA format, it's like you can't break a world record. It's more like NCAA record, even though it's like basically a world record. Like let's like Dressel 17.6, that's a world record. You know, Leon's 4 IM, that's definitely a world record. So it's like, I feel like that would make it a lot better for the sport. I mean, just the difference between NCAA and world record, it just holds so much more weight, I feel, personally.
Yeah, we were talking, or Brian's mentioned it a bunch, just like meet schedule at NCAAs and how that 100 free, we always see a bunch of tired swimmers going, amazing times, but it's the last day of a very long meet. And all that. So obviously meet schedule plays a huge role in just times and what people even do.
Yeah. I think
Go on.
I was talking to Dressel about this, and he was telling me like, dude, we had like prelim relays like before. So like his 39, I was like, dude, you probably could have gone like freaking 39.5. Like I didn't know you would have to swim like prelim relays.
Maybe so they would have like on every prelim relay for Florida.
And they had 1 day less, right? They didn't have the just relay day, I think he was telling me. Is that right?
Well, I don't know what year it changed over. That's actually for Dressel to say that he lived to that. It switched later than I thought it did, because I remember in my day SECs had that extra relay day, which is just like 2 medley, 8 free. And then, but SECs was also finals only on the relays. And then you got to NCs, and NCs was 3 days with prelim relays, all of them. And so it was like, there's a lot of swims. It's like 14 swims in 3 days. It's a lot of, not every team had the luxury of like being able to sit on the prelim relays. But I'll tell you that that 100 back final straight into the 800 free relay, that was brutal.
Yeah.
I like dying. Yeah. No, it's different now, but I mean, that'd be cool. What do you prefer? Do you prefer like a certain event order? Like I always hated the long meets with the 50 at the end, because I wanted the speed at the beginning, and then I could kind of settle into the stroke and maybe have the 100 in the middle of the meet, or 100 fly or something like that. But for me, I didn't swim 100 fly long course. So do you have like a preference in which order you would set it up if you could?
I feel like having a 50 early is like I kind of feel you on that. I feel like that could be good. Sometimes you feel more pop at the beginning of the meet.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's where kind of you adjust I feel like you can just adjust taper maybe to kind of like handle. Obviously the 50 free is like always lasts pretty much. I feel like you can kind of maybe adjust, because I've like found it where I have more pop at the beginning of a meet compared to the end. You start getting fatigued, right? So I don't know if, in terms of preference, like I'm not sure. Like obviously there's like NCAAs, you have the 50, off the bat. Long course, you have the 50 fly early. So I don't know how they would be able to go like 50 fly and like 50 free. So I feel like it's tough. I feel like making an event schedule is really tough. I feel like that's why they haven't like been able to like add 50s, because it's just so difficult. Like stroke 50s, I mean, to like the Olympics.
I was gonna say, wait, 50 flies an event?
Yeah.
Let's get that at NCs too while we're at it.
One day I'm gonna come out of retirement when it's finally an event. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get as jacked as I was in that picture. That's what we're doing.
Josh, talking about schedules. I mean, first of all, kudos on Paris. Let's go to Paris. Okay, so I mean, we know the amazing things you did at Paris, double bronze medalists, finals in 53. But before all that happened, you had a big day of the 53 final 100 fly semi. It was quite an eventful day for you in terms of, getting into the final when you didn't expect it suddenly and having 35 minutes before events. How the free affected your flight? Just talk us through what we don't know what happened to you that day with that scheduling. So those who are listening, the 53 final was 35 minutes before the 100 fly semi, and you swam it both, but you didn't know about it until Grusa scratch. Talk us through that day for you.
So,
by the way, real quick, just to interrupt, I correct you, Luke. Josh won silver.
Silver medalist. my bad.
Yeah, no worries. So actually, like me getting sick before the meet yesterday, I got sick at the Olympics a little bit. So I was, the coaches were kind of wondering whether I should scratch that 53 because my fly had just been better in terms of training. I probably did, in terms of what we did leading up to the Olympics, I was probably more focused on the 100 fly just because I knew that would be a kind of the bigger event for me. So I wasn't sure if I was going to take that spot in terms of like once Crusade scratch and I was in. But I said, like I was really, it took me a little bit to make the decision, but I mean, it's kind of what I trained for. It's what I've worked hard to do. And the moment was there and it was kind of given to me, right? I was ninth and someone scratched and got me in. So, I mean, I decided let's just go for it. I mean, I was feeling better going into that day, so I just went for it, and just tried to execute the race. Like I know with a 53, obviously it's all about details, and any small thing can be the difference. So yeah, I just went through for it. I had confidence in my fly, like the way I was feeling, the way I was training. My prelim swim, I kind of had confidence in me being able to swim the double. So yeah, I swam that 50, got fourth, which was, I mean, by 0.02, but at the same time, obviously it like sucks when you're that close to the medal, but at the same time, I wasn't even going to swim it. So yeah, I was kind of happy and proud of myself for swimming it and seeing that I got that close. That was just kind of a reminder of myself to always take that chance. And yeah, I mean, at that point, I just had to use it as fuel, right? Because I knew I was kind of, I mean, I was right there close to a medal and I kind of really wanted one. So yeah, I just, in terms of that, you talk about that night specifically where I had the 53, not a lot of time because obviously you're walking upstairs, you're going through, actually, no, they took me through, I forget, you don't do interviews. You just kind of walk straight through. They give you a bypass. But yeah, just like try and stay hydrated, get some food or something in, warm down a little bit, and then, it's time to get back to the ready room right away. In terms of that semi, that night for the 100 fly, I just kind of thought about managing the race. I didn't want to be crazy. I just wanted to, I mean, I knew I could kind of work the back half a little better. So that's basically what I did. That semi swim, just kind of work the back half, stay in the race, obviously, not put myself out of the race. And yeah, I feel like I executed the semi swim exactly how I wanted to. And then I just had to get ready for the final the next day after that.
So that 50.4 semi give you that confidence that, dang, let's let it go the next night. And
yeah,
50. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, I knew I had more in me for sure. Even from the prelim swim, swam that 50.4 when I really wasn't pushing that first 50. Mm-hmm. And I knew I had more in me, so I wanted to get out at night because all those guys were going out pretty fast. I wanted to kind of put myself at the front of the fight, and I wanted to make sure, like I've been working on my turn a lot because I didn't want to miss the turn. I didn't want to have a slow turn, so I thought I executed my turn pretty well as well. These guys know my finish. I did not have a very good finish. But yeah, I mean, I felt like the way Milak swam it, like he was very, like I've watched the race back, and I mean, he swam that race like perfectly in terms of how poised he was, right? He just swam a better race. Obviously very experienced. Yeah, I mean, if you watch him, he's a lot more relaxed. He kind of doesn't rush anything, and that's how he won. So that's kind of looking back on that. That was a good learning point for me because obviously I'm off the turn and I'm ahead, and I start like spinning, like I'm ahead. But yeah, I mean, it was a cool moment. But it also kind of showed me that I still need to work on some things, right? It showed me that I still have quite a bit to work on, which is good. Is some things that I can still improve on.
Yeah, I wondered what your mentality was going to be about that because originally, I was there watching you get that silver medal, and I was like, "Oh, what a huge accomplishment!" Like you get under 50 and you get a silver medal first time, and I would think like glass more than half full, on that experience. But then like watching the race from a different angle, and then you see that, you're like leading through 90 meters, maybe 95. And frankly, like if you nail the finish, who knows? And so how, like, what was your takeaway in the moment? Cause when you don't hit it, when you have a crap finish.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure the second you hit that wall, you're like, oh, okay, well, you were in between strokes. You take this half stroke, you have to make that gut decision. You know that you're fading and like tying up, and it's like, but you don't know exactly where he is. And so I'm just curious, like, what was the initial reaction? Was it one of elation for a medal, or was it like, oh shit, I was leading and I thought that I had it?
I mean, I'll be completely honest. Like before I even looked at the board, I was just pissed that I missed my finish because I knew it was close, and I was like, dude, really? I like missed it again. Like it's something that I've done before, right? And I've been trying to work on, but I mean, I just didn't time it well enough. And I mean, just in the moment, right? There was some mistakes that I made. But I mean, I knew. I mean, before you take the last stroke.
Stuck.
Yeah, I mean, I was stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to throw my arms at the wall. Like one arm was like hitting the water. Like I was just like trying to get my arms over as fast as I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, initially I was like, dude, really? Like I missed my finish again. Because that's not something, I mean, it's not something you want to do. Even in practice, it's like something that like, I guess annoys me a little bit, right? Like missing the finish, because you can lose so much time missing the finish. But it's not really just that last stroke, right? It's like, it's a couple strokes out. You have to kind of make that decision and get it done. So initially that was like my first thing. I was like, dude, like before I even turned around, I was like, dude, I probably just lost it because because of a mistake, because of a bad habit, right? Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I'm at 49. Was able to get my first ever medal. Obviously, I missed a medal in the 50. So there was a lot of good from that race. And I mean, I also learned something at the same time. So I think it was kind of the perfect kind of outcome for me.
Yeah.
Did you and Nesty ever have a conversation? Because Nesty out-touched beyond 8 by 0.01.
He I forgot what he told me. He was asking me. Well, he asked me like what I thought of the race. And I told him, yeah, I mean, for my actual stroke, I thought I was just rushing a little bit. But I can get away with like rushing and going faster just because I guess I'm strong. I can pull water if I'm rushing just a little bit, right? But I just wasn't as patient. And then obviously, I mean, I thought I hit my turn really well. Like that was one of the things I wanted to execute. And I did hit that well. In terms of stroke count, I was off both ways. But no, I was happy overall. Like obviously that was my first. I was in an Olympic final. I was going into the meet as one of the guys that they were talking about that was gunning for the gold medal. And I felt I executed pretty well. Obviously, best time in an Olympic final. So yeah, I mean, he said obviously there's stuff to work on, but he was proud of me for that moment. But yeah.
No, sick, dude.
I wanted to ask you about back to the event order thing a bit, because like Grousset played the other card, and yet he had the exact same decision to make.
Yeah.
And it sucks it didn't work out for him. Previous, coming off of a world title the prior year, you and him both have like very similar PBs coming in, so it's like
Mhm.
it's just and some similar event or all same events.
Yeah.
Both jacked. And so, it's like, what I mean by that is like similar build, similar, it's like, I don't know what the question is. I think I just like, it's fascinating to see that like, you can make the decision with the best information that you have at the time. And, it may or may not work out. Of course, different set of circumstances for him being in front of a home crowd, but
Yeah.
he had to watch that 50 free final and go, oh shit, like his best time, would have been right out of medal, as would yours. And so it's just, different. I don't know, kind of tough to watch, but I think interesting to see that you're able to back it up. And I think we joked sometime recently with who was it, the swim off, Johnny Kulo. We were talking to Johnny Kulo about his swim off with Cheney, and like, or like, oh, the last person that I would want to race in a swim off is, especially one that's like back-to-back swim off and then have to do one again, is a Florida sprinter, because of like the ability to just like do it again and do it again and do it again. So like, well, if I was looking at the two, not knowing like Grousset's training, I would pick Josh to be able to go like back to back to back and do more races. So I think that's kind of like, for the outside world, the reputation that Florida sprinters have is the ability to just back it up, do it again, which, you showcased at the Olympics. So it was kind of cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that, I wanted to just ask about training or sets, because like Brian said, you guys have this reputation, and obviously I think Caleb kind of set the stage for it when he was doing it repeatedly over and over and over, but you guys have been able to carry it over and maintain that kind of prestige. And as much as Brian doesn't want to hear it, Sprint University and the ability to get back up and do it again, right? So I guess talk us through the training or any sets that you think kind of help build that ability.
I don't know. I feel like I would say it's not like conventional like sprint in terms of what we do. I feel like also the group, like the guys that you're around, helps a lot more than like I would say like sets or kind of anything like that. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like we do a lot of going fast, but it's like kind of like a lot of it, right? Trying to see how well you can maintain speed as you're breaking down. And I think in that sense, like that's what helps in the end, right? That's what helps, like being able to like when you're really tired, how can you like manage a race and still be able to, execute better than, everyone else who's also tired, right? In terms of certain sets, I feel like, I don't know. There's a lot of, I feel like there's this one set that I like that's actually really hard. It's 1050s max on 4 minutes. And it's max. Like I've done it short course meters where I've gone them all no breath. And I've had a good set. Yeah, I mean it hurts. It's
yeah. What do you going on a set like that? And are you mixing up strokes at all? Just because, like you said, with your events, you're freestyle butterfly. That's kind of how it goes in the meet.
It's I don't think we've ever. Maybe me and Caleb have done it fly once, but it's usually freestyle.
Yeah.
There's one time in Christmas training we were going yards, and I feel like Caleb was going really fast on this. This was I think I'll say 2023, like December. He was going. He had a couple, I think 19s maybe. Yeah, and it's. I mean, I've had a really good set. I think where I was like averaging. I started off at I was averaging like 22s, like 22 mids on those 1050s. That was probably around my average, if I remember correctly. I had a couple 22 lows, but it's just like that. Like when you're tired, you can't swim it the same way almost. Yeah. So it's just like you kind of learn to get the speed, maybe with not this kind of same kind of effort, but you're still getting that speed and you're still getting something out of the set. So I found that was a pretty good set that I like. But we have a lot of sets that we do in terms of like our quality sets. That's pretty race specific, but it's kind of working. They're hard. Like you're broken down, and it's how you kind of manage being tired and still go fast.
While
we have this set
eyeballs.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
eyeballs.
It's tough. Yeah.
Like 1050 when you're just like full of lactic acid is just brutal.
Yeah, and no warm down. You're just standing.
Oh,
like we've had guys like try to do warm down like in between trying to swim. They're like, nope, get back up.
Well, I think that's what people get wrong is like listening to a set like that and they're like 1050s sprinters. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like all out. Like 100% all out. And you're saying that you're going no breath on these two. Like, the numbers 8, 9, and 10, you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Like it's like the physical
it's
pain.
Like you're bending over to do a dive and it's like you feel like you're going to throw up. Like it's that type of set. I mean, I feel like we've also had like some good athletes come in who've obviously like Caleb, someone who's able to go fast again and again. I feel like that also helps when you're training with somebody like that. Obviously, he's going to set the standard, and I feel like that just brings the group up. Someone like Adam Cheney, who's like really good at sprinting. I mean, I feel like the group definitely has a lot to do with that.
I do remember Caleb talking about that set because when he did ISL skins, he said 350s on 3 minutes all out. That's nothing for us. We do 10, like that's nothing.
Yeah.
So I can do that. And we've all done those 50s all out. And to be honest to yourself that you're really putting out everything into it, because you can make yourself look fast and your coach thinks you're looking fast. You're not really being truly honest with how much you're putting in. But the pain is so much and it's such a mental thing. What helps you, Josh, to maintain your technique, maintain that effort, not be a pussy and just like back off that because it's hurting so much? Is it the chaining to you? Is it just you kind of like go brain numb, close your eyes? Like what helps you get past that pain to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we also have a set where we would do like 6 efforts max, and it's like the same kind of thing. I think Olympic year it would be 6 ones. I don't remember what they were on. But it's just like that kind of same, it's just, I feel like it's more strategy because I can try really hard, on the first one and just like end up blowing up and dying. Right. It's just kind of, as you swim it more, you kind of learn, you kind of learn how to do it, I think. And I feel like that's also just racing, right? You don't like I said, like how I was spinning a little bit, muscling a little bit in my 100 fly in Paris. Like it kind of teaches you to be able to, I feel like, get that same speed. Like you can get the same speed not muscling it. It's kind of in my head, in your head, it seems kind of weird because it feels like you're trying less, but you could be going even faster. It's just like you're holding water, just that type of thing. And I feel like that's what I try to focus on, just like technique. I don't want to rush. I don't want to be, wasting energy. It's just, I feel like as you go through it, if you're kind of really dialed in and really focused, you kind of learn to race and not waste that energy, I guess.
I remember when Cheney was on a couple of years ago and he was like, dude, if Caleb did this or the way Caleb is training, he can go X time. I'm not going to say the time because it was crazy, but he was so psyched and motivated by what his teammate was going to do. Right. And so built up by what's happening. And that happens to all of us. Like if I see Brian hit me, he and I are training for 2 years and Brian hits a hit hell of a time. Like I did the same training. Why can't I do that? What have you seen or what have you done in practice? Like shit. X did this, I did this, not motivated this person, or I got motivated. Talk about that. How your teammates have done something in practice, like, shit, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the funny thing is it's not always like a me or a Caleb,
sure,
or Cheney. Sometimes you get someone out of nowhere. Like if you guys have seen like Julian Smith this year,
killing
like
49.
yeah, killing it, right? But I mean, he's had sets where even before he was a 49 swimmer, where he's just like flying, right? And it's like you gotta step up because you don't want to be at the back of the pack. So I feel like there's just an unspoken accountability. I feel like within the group, whereas like everyone's just trying to push to that level. I mean, people have gone like insanely fast times in practice, right? Like McGuire was like a really good practice swimmer. He would like beat me and Caleb. And then obviously on the next rep, you don't want to get beat again. So it's just, I mean, we're all competitive, right? Maybe a little bit of shit talk too.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, it's just competing in practice. I feel like that's that kind of, for me, I love it. I love the competition in practice. It's kind of what gets me going. I think it's one of the reasons I've improved, just being able to compete in practice. And I mean, these guys are world-class. They're racing in practice. Once you get to the meet, it's nothing new, right?
Yeah, it's funny to see you guys as a group from the outside because, you know, we've had the opportunity to see you race at NCAAs and interview like relay wins, and there's like an attitude, and it's not just about like, you know, Eric Fries with his scared money don't make money quips, which is like the greatest line ever.
Yeah.
But you can sense this like brotherhood. I wouldn't call it like us against the world sort of thing, but like you can tell that you guys are a unit, and that's contagious. Like it stands out, and it's like, you know, when we answer questions, we're answering that as a group. Like, you know, it's almost like you don't know unless you've been there. But when you're in it, like this is between us and it's about us and it's about like, you know, feeding into the next guy. It's just funny to me that like you can see that from the outside, and so when you guys have success, it's pretty clear why. You know, it's like because you're showing up there for each other and you're making each other better every day, and you can just see that from a quick conversation. It's just a cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like just the relationship that we have is, I mean, it's obviously, like you said, it's more than just teammates, right? Like it's more of a brotherhood. And I feel like just that kind of chemistry, having that going into relays, stuff like that. I feel like it just makes you that much better. And I feel like that's why we've had success. And it also trickles down to the rest of the team, I feel, right? If we're having that success, I feel like it can just boost the rest of the team as well.
So you're the first Florida swimmer we've had for a few months now, that NCAA Florida swimmer, I should say. And you know, the Texas guys are like, you know, we're gonna have a coach win an NCAA championship back to back, 2 different schools. And the ASU guys are like, we got something to prove this year, you know, like F everybody left, we got to prove it.
Yeah.
And the Indiana guys are like, yeah, watch out for us, it's going to be tight, you know. And I don't really know who Florida has. Like, who is Florida? You know, what's going on in Florida?
We like it that, yeah. We just, I mean, we stay quiet until the end, right? That's kind of what we do. It's kind of just how it goes. Yeah, I feel like we've learned from last year. When you get to NCAAs, it's everything has to go right? Some things didn't go right for us last year, and yeah, I mean, it's just the whole team has to hit, and that's kind of how you get it done. It's really difficult to be able to have everyone executing like that. It's really hard to win a championship, but yeah, I mean, all the teams are good. And we're going to find out in March who can get it done.
What are you bringing to the table this year? I mean, Chris, you won 3 titles last year, but what are you bringing to the table this year, having a silver medal under your belt? Are your undies now dirtier than before? You know how to touch a wall now? What's good? What are you bringing this year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I've been working on. I've changed some stuff around in terms of just technique. I have been working on my underwaters. Need to get those better. Yeah, and just details, right? Like I said before, yards it's all details. So I want to be able to hit those this year. Yeah, I mean, and I'm excited. I'm excited to get a taper and see how all this work that I've been putting in, how it kind of translates, right? Like I said, I've made some changes, and yeah, I'm just happy to see what happens.
Yeah, you're right on the cusp of like 3 huge barriers: the 18 and the 50 free, 40
Yeah.
point in the 100 free, 43 in the 100 fly. Do any of those like stand out more to you, or it's like, man, that I really want to get under that one? I'm sure all of them, but one stand out in particular.
I feel like the 18,
Yeah,
like getting under 18, because I think it's the 50, like I was saying about the 50 free, it's the hardest one to like execute, right?
definitely.
Like you mess up one thing and it's the difference between an 18 flat and 18-2. Like it's pretty wild. So I'll definitely say that. The 43, I feel like I had the 42 last year. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I just need like I said, just details. I don't want something like that to happen again. Because the competition's not getting any slower. I'm not going to be able to, miss my finish and be able to win. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, it's just I've just been working on those details, and seeing if I can, execute them, near perfection. Obviously, better than I did last year.
Yeah, not many have the privilege of, working with someone that's gone those times or broken those barriers, and with the coaching staff there.
Yeah.
So has, Caleb mentioned anything like, oh man, you're going times that will get it, or the coach has been like, man, you're hitting sets and times that are, right where he was at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some things in practice where it's like where I think that even last year, where I thought that I could have been able to get some of those times. In terms of advice from Caleb, I remember he was talking to me. He like messaged me after the race, and he was like, in terms of just like I said, details. He was like, dude, what are you doing on the last turn? He's like, dude, it took you forever to get off that wall. Because I think he talked about, I think, well, I don't know if it was you guys, but someone maybe it was like one of the race data accounts where they like made the comparison, and we were like the same time pretty much to 75.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, like, why'd you, like, it took you forever to get off that last wall. Like, he didn't even really talk about the finish. He said, like, yeah, it's hard to hit the finishes. Like, I missed a couple turns too. But I feel like I just need more practice. But it's just things like that, because he's obviously a very detail-oriented person, so we can kind of just see it and know. But yeah.
Caleb would be long on turns too. I remember watching all his NCs and be like, Caleb, come on, man. How do you miss this first turn every time?
Yeah.
When he went 17.6, he went 8.4 to feet, right? So how do I know?
Yeah.
What's your? I mean, 8.4 to feet. That's insane. That's a 7.9 tan or something, right?
Yeah.
What's your 50 strategy? Are you just going balls out and holding it down and going? Are you even splitting it? Like, what's your 50 strategy, dude, to get it there?
You have to have a good first 25.
Yeah.
And you have to hit that turn. You have to be fast around. Like if you watch Caleb, if you watch Jordan, their turn, they're the fastest to do the flip. Not even talking about the push off, but like, they're the fastest around. So, yeah, I've changed my start a little bit, trying to do start more like Caleb. Not easy. It's definitely harder than it looks, but
come on, you're doing breakdown videos. You're not watching those, and you're like, oh man, I'm getting all these secrets now.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely has some things that he's not sharing, but
for sure.
yeah, he's got some secrets, man. But yeah, no, it's not easy. And then just like timing, breakout. I mean, there's so many things that go in to just a 25. Like it's as I've learned that it's kind of wild to how many different steps you have to go through to be quick. So yeah, that's something I've also been working on. Just been focusing more on details this year, I would say.
Josh, if you met somebody new and you didn't want to tell them anything about you being a swimmer, what else would they find out about you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I like sports. I like football, basketball. I like music. I play a bit of music.
Oh,
Got
what?
a guitar in the back there.
Right.
But yeah, no, I just music, sports, video games, that kind of stuff, you know.
Who's do you listen to music, or what platform? What are your top artists?
I always get hate for this, but I like Kendrick.
yeah.
Because you know I'm from Toronto, and everyone's like, you gotta
Yeah.
like Drake.
That's like-
I do like Drake too, but like
Oh.
I like Kendrick. I like Lil Wayne. I guess those are kind of my top. Yeah.
Man, all these
All
people
right.
have issue with each other now. What's going on?
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, all my favorite artists, they just like, yeah.
I guess Kendrick's against everyone. That's the mantra,
Yeah.
right? So that's how it is.
Yeah.
All right. If somebody walks in your room and they're like, "Oh, you play guitar. What is your go-to right now to play?"
My go-to song.
Yeah. What are you most confident that you could pick up and play right now?
Most confident? Let's see. Trying to think. Probably I know Stairway to Heaven. I haven't played it in a bit, but I know that. I feel like I know like Justin Bieber songs. Trying to think what else I know. Yeah, I just know like some just simple like riffs.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Yeah. And I try to learn some new songs, right? I feel like that also helps me to be able to just like learn new songs. I just kind of stop thinking about swimming. I need to like just kind of detach, think about something else. It's pretty fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on. All right, man. Well, just a few short ones, and we'll let you go. What's the hardest race in swimming?
The hardest race in swimming. I don't know, man. I feel like it's like anything long for me. It's open waters.
25K.
Yeah.
What's the longest race you've ever done?
Probably a 1500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a rite of passage. I feel like everybody in Florida has
Yeah.
like that.
I don't think I've ever tried for the whole 1500 too. I just like kind of back half it. Like, I was like, yeah.
Hopefully you can publicly admit that today as a world-class sprinter.
Yeah.
All right, Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
In what event?
What event? I feel like the 100 free. I feel like that's such a big one.
Nice.
I feel like it's always such a tough event at the Olympics. Like even as somebody like Caleb, it's just tough. It's a tough event to be able to swim in a final and execute. Yeah.
I got to digress on this one for a hot second. What was your reaction to 46.4?
I was like, what? I think so. I didn't watch it, so I wasn't. I think I was getting ready for the next day, but I didn't originally watch it. Like I was upset. Like I wasn't really happy with my 100 free.
Yeah.
And I wasn't watching it, and I just see a text from Caleb, and he was like, "What the heck?" Like pretty much type of text. And then I like checked it, and I was like, "He's like, dude, what the heck, pan?" And I like checked it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I just went 46.4." Yeah, no, I mean that was nuts.
Wild.
Yeah, otherworldly.
Yeah.
All right. If you could only keep 3 apps on your phone, what are the 3? Everything else has to go.
Text, like I feel like just like does that count? Like a messaging
Sure.
app, so I can keep
Yep,
in touch.
totally.
Music, and then probably Netflix, so I don't get bored.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Best swim that you ever saw in person?
Best swim that I ever saw in person. Oh, this is a good one. That's tough. I've seen a bunch of like Leon's NCAA swims. Those have been really good. I've seen a lot of Caleb's swims. Just trying to think. This is tough. Maybe it's I remember Milax when he went 150 in Budapest.
No.
Yeah, I feel like everyone like that was kind of like everyone was like up and looking at the screen. That was a pretty good swim. He was like out 51. Yeah, I'd say maybe that's the one.
Yeah, that's almost insanity. All right,
Yeah.
what's one thing on your bingo card for 2025? Here we are in the new year. It could be anything. What do you see coming in 2025?
Well, I got silver in Tokyo. I want to be able to get a gold at a world, like a major meet. That's kind of the next step for me. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just focusing on obviously not just focusing on the goal itself, but how I'm going to get there this year. That's kind of more of my focus right now.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I need to know though, does any of how you're getting there involve some social kick nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, if I can social kick, I will. Trust me. Rather than doing kick fast, for sure.
Regardless of how big of an if that is.
Yeah.
We'll take as much as we can get. That's awesome. Josh, super fun to get to chat with you, man. Wish you all the best of success in the year to come. Gold is in the future. It's coming. We know it.
Good.
That's
Thanks
the
for
goal.
spending some
Thanks,
time
guys.
with us. Yeah, man. All right, that's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode of Social Kick and you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. And we love talking swimming and we'd love to talk about swimming with you. So leave us a comment and we'll see you next time.